AirMaria, this is Friary Roderick here for AirMaria.com, and we're in Griswold, Connecticut, and we just had the Knights of Lepanto Fathers and Sons Encampment, and it's a fun-filled weekend, Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And we have here Thom Girard, who is in charge of the encampment. How'd it go, Tom?
Actually, encampment went very well. It was the best encampment we've had so far.
Wow, great. How many kids came?
We had, if I remember correctly, the count was about 60 kids and 20 families.
Wow, that's a lot. So it was quite an event, huh?
Yes, it was. It was very good.
And it was a lot of preparation and a lot of there's a whole theme here too, as far as how the whole thing was planned, and the whole structure is around a certain spirituality, as well as building rapport between father and son, right?
Absolutely. And the preparation is, many nights sitting in the background with dinners with my second in command, Bryce Dietz. Also, many hours here working at the encampment itself, on the grounds, trying to put things together, as well as focusing on tradition with the kids, spirituality, and discipline.
We had this as the third event, basically, right?
This would be the fourth encampment we've had.
Great. So it's really developing and getting more involved too, right?
Absolutely, more involved, and every time we do it, it's a little bit easier and a lot more growth.
First, started off with the sign-in and the camp setup, right?
Now, what happens is I was working down in the woods at the time, trying to finish up a project, and when I came back, what we expected to have and what I saw was totally different, because at 6 o'clock I'm coming in and I see tents everywhere. It was, wow. I just went, whoa, where did they all come from?
And so this whole campsite is really a part of the whole thing. So it involves camping, and it involves chivalry, military discipline, and so you had the whole camp event with heraldry, say, and so you had banners, and which you made, didn't you?
Yeah, the banners are being made, and the concept of the Knights and the Knights of Lepanto is brought forward to the boys, so that they can see on a continuous basis, what the tradition was that was set forth and what was involved in these the ancient knighthood.
You will design these banners and have them for next year too, right?
Yeah, on Friday night we sat down and we had the boys start drawing and sketching the banners from the original 4 banners that were there, and then move forward to put their own personalities and their own disciplines with the banner itself, so they could have some tradition going forward amongst their own Knights of Lepanto concept.
Wow. So the kids really get involved in this, and as far as the actual setup and the actual leadership of it as well.
Well, it's designed for the kids to mature, and as we started seeing this year, is that the older boys are starting to take control. We as leaders go directly to the older boys and the youth leaders and tell them, hey, this is what we need, and then they bring it down to their banners and tell the younger ones what has to get done.
The first day, a full day, you're starting off with Mass, right?
That's correct. There's no better way to start than with Mass.
And so it's the whole spirituality, as well as discipline, as well as the getting together with father and son.
Right. Absolutely, because it's a Trinitine type of effect: God, Father, and Son.
Right, and that's covered in an initial discussion with the in the morning with the fathers and the sons, and had discussions about courtesy and about chivalry.
That's right. The courtesy and the chivalry is an ongoing theme, and it's always a mini retreat that sits inside these encampments, because the boys don't see it anymore. They don't even know it exists. And when they sit down and hear these discussions, sometimes, because we split the discussion up in 2 areas, we have the younger kids and we have the older kids, but the boys are always in awe as to what is the proper method in which to do things. There's a contest that goes on here, and the second place person had to serve the third place person had to serve the friars, but the boys really enjoyed doing it. It was a step up for them. They got a chance to be waiters, so to speak, and they were dedicated and devoted to the process, which is what was interesting, because they didn't have to be as dedicated as were or devoted as what they were. They just went over that extra step, and that's what made it great.
Yeah, it seems like they were doing all the things that boys aren't supposed to like, yet they all liked it, right?
Absolutely, and it's because of the concept of what we teach, which is charity, because that just goes with chivalry hand in hand. Courtesy, charity just goes hand in hand with that. And it's so important to teach this so that the boys can learn to respond, not just here, but everywhere else they go in the world.
That's awesome. Now, you had talked about scoring, and that involved some of the events, right? So you had several events. You had fencing, first aid. You also had archery and the obstacle course. Can you tell me a little bit about that? We have not so much time, but
the obstacle course is a physical, mental, and spiritual workout. Basically, the boys will be doing, monkey bars, or the quote-unquote the keep, which is a climb, the cavalry hill, ropes. But while they're doing it, they get stopped halfway through and they're asked their catechism. What are the 7 sacraments? What are the 10 commandments? And it's to teach them that under stress, you still have to know this stuff. Even in the world, you're going to be under stress. You still have to know what your Catholic faith is and how to go through it. Fencing is a knowledge of, is a agilic skill and a physical skill. And then you have first aid, which is survival, and not only for yourself but for others. Right. And archery, we're taking over as a survival skill to teach the boys very early steps on hunting. And teach them the proper methods as well as humane methods.
And safety too, right?
Absolutely, safety. Safety's all the way through this, no matter which instance we go through. It's the highest priority we have. We make sure nobody is hurt during this whole event.
Well, I was always impressed with how much they were, all the other boys were cheering each other on during this thing, and how much team effort there was. That's the stress, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's interesting is the way the banners are broken up. If you have boys from 17 to 5 in the group, and the older ones are there as a father role to the younger ones, and the other ones there are trying to learn and achieve whatever obstacle or item they have to learn. And so you see that chivalry getting built up, and you see that concept of love and charity as the boys are working through the events and as the boys are learning the process. And you see the younger ones slowly and methodically starting to learn to take over. The 10 and 11-year-olds, they're starting to take over some of the leadership skills from the 17-year-olds, and it's fun to watch that occur.
That progression, right?
Yeah.
And you also had the final events last night were really spectacular. As far as you had a bonfire, you had an initiation ceremony with one of a new knight from being a squire to being a knight, right?
That's correct. The bonfire was part of the ceremony. From the crossover, so to speak, going from Squire, which is this older boys, into the realm of the Knights of Lepanto, and now his formation, his spiritual formation, will start as he matures and works his way, as we work our way, and is becoming a knight.
Well, it's a very moving and solemn ceremony there. It was very beautiful, and that's one of the highlights of the night, actually. And that was actually your son, wasn't it?
Yeah, this time it was my son, my eldest son, Mark, and he did his time. He did his formation, his preparation to get to that point, and it was very impressive through his initiation process to see what he had done and how he had done it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so it also had some skits and some songs and fireworks around the fire with a lot of marshmallows and good stuff like that, right?
Well, the campfire is always good. The songs and the skits bring out the tradition of what would happen after a battle, where the military gets together and they talk about the day's events, and they sing songs and stuff. And this is what we're bringing forward: things that happen during the day, or things that they want to bring forward. And it teaches them how to get in front of people and speak, and have fun and enjoy it, and not be exceptionally nervous.
It was really a fun-filled night. That was a great night, but it didn't end there, because they had a night watch. We had to keep the fire, right? And that was analogous to keeping the faith, right? So it was a whole contest all night long, right?
Yeah, the contest for the older boys doesn't end. They have to maintain the fire, and the fire is basically their faith. But we had 2 fires, one faith, but still 2 fires that they decided they wanted to keep. And so the teenage boys were out there against everybody else. The religious,
who would make raids at night, right?
That's right. The religious and the fathers and the other young kids, if they were involved, making raids onto those fires, and them trying to protect it. And again, it's the concept of what happens in life: is your faith is challenged on a regular basis, and you have to protect it constantly. It never ends.
Right. That's a great analogy. And finally, after all that, we have the mass to end the whole event, and as well as one final contest. So it's really quite an event, and I must say very memorable. And all I can say, Thom, is God bless, and I hope you do it again next year as well.
We'll definitely be doing it again next year, and it's a lot of fun to work with, and it's great to be out here at the Friary in the woods with these boys. And the most important thing is to watch the growth of the boys and how they're doing things, and also the growth of the dads. We don't realize that impact that we're having on the dads as well, and that's what's really impressive, is you're seeing the dads change as well as the boys. And that's a dual effect that just is wonderful to see.
Well, great, Thom. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Ave Maria.
Ave Maria. Ave Maria, this is Friar Roderick here for AirMaria.com, and God bless you.